All right, you joined me on the Moyen Corniche, just leaving Nice. Today I'm doing a climb just a few kilometers from my apartment. Yeah, the KOM is Tadej Pogačar, so let's see if I can beat Pogi today. It's gonna be a big challenge.
These are the Strava stats for the segment. So it's 10% average, just under 4K. And it's really a climb in two halves if you look at that gradient map. First, we have this climb of the Chemin de Vinaigre, which has been used in races a few different times, including Paris-Nice earlier this year. And the final stage there, Matteo and Magnus were fighting for the win, and they both went about 20 seconds faster than what I'm going to do today, which is pretty crazy to see because this is pretty close to my 5-minute all-time best power that I'm going to do here on the first half of this effort, only about 15 watts off. And that's, even if I was doing my all-time best, I would still be behind them. So it goes to show how fast they are, and Tadej's doing about a similar speed to what they were doing today. So I knew I was definitely not going to be able to match that on this first half, but then the second half, we go down a little bit and then onto Montlos, and Tadej backed off a little bit for that last bit. So I knew if I could keep around this power that I'm doing now, 455, I could probably come back on him and take the KOM. As we're going to see, that's definitely a tall order, and any of these climbs around here that Tadej's done, it's usually pretty fast. But we're nearing the top of this climb now. There's some pretty cool views of the sea out that way, but it's a residential climb with a lot of walls, so don't really get to see too much, but when you can, it's nice. This is the Strava effort comparison. So I was 17 seconds down after 5.5 minutes on Pogi, so not too bad. And then this is the little downhill into the intersection it's Col de Quatre Chemins. It's the 4 paths. There's a bunch of different roads that meet right here, and as you can imagine, a little bit of traffic, so I have to weave through a little bit, but keeping it pretty safe. And then we're on the famous Col d'Ez for just a moment. This is a climb up from Nice that lots and lots of people do. And then we turn left onto Montlos, and this is quite a niche climb, and what makes this segment so niche is combining those two climbs. But I mean, hey, any segment that Tadej has done is pretty hard to take. And I really love this climb. You have these cool switchbacks like this, and it's a really narrow road. You can see there's a bit of water and debris on the road. We just had a bunch of rain over the weekend before this, so it hasn't quite dried out, and it's a lot of shade through here, so I think in the winter it almost never dries out, but not too bad. This is what it looks like when I'm out of the saddle with the rear-mounted 360 camera. It's a little bit wobbly, so I didn't include many clips where I'm doing that, but it's kind of a cool effect if you can avoid getting motion sick. Just trying to get a little bit artsy with the view here. Let me know if you guys like this perspective. I'm just trying out different things to see how I can film these rides, but this is one of the crazier hairpins on the road. Doesn't look that bad on this camera, but you can see in the bottom right it says 30%. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's probably one of the steeper hairpins that you can do around here. And I was absolutely dragging on this last half of this climb, like barely even doing like 350 watts, cracking 400 only when I was feeling a little bit better. But yeah, that was definitely starting out hard and then didn't quite have the legs to match Pogi's pace, but I knew I wanted to just give it my best and see if I could maintain that pace. And today I just didn't quite have the legs. I'm coming off the back of a 3-week VO2 block going into this effort. Just coming to the end of the block now last week, and then rest week next week. So I knew I wasn't going to feel super fresh, but I've seen some good progression in my intervals, so I wanted to see how I could do. I did this effort once before earlier in the spring, and even though I blew up on the second half, I still went like 45 seconds faster than I did earlier in the year. So it's nice to see some progress there. And I think a little bit of rest, and I could probably come back and get close to this one. This is nearing the top here. And as we're going to see, I finished 32 seconds down on Pogi. He was 13:34, I did 14:06. So not too bad in the end, considering how slowly I was going at the finish. This is the analysis of the stats. So 413 average. Heart rate got up pretty high there. I think about 430, 440 average would do it, but it's not the best average power climb. This is a little bit of the descent after the summit. It's a really nice road. I'd recommend doing it, and thanks for watching.